When Nike turns back the clock, good things happen. Nike's been going in on Foamposites in 2023 with the Dreamer World series, the Tech Gray and the Black pair, as well as the Dornbecker Foamposites. Now I reviewed 2 out of 3 of those shoes, and while I like those shoes, I feel like it's not exactly what I wanted, but these latest Foamposites, I really wanted them. Nike Air Foamposite 1 Penny Player Exclusive. For everyone growing up in the 90s and that followed basketball, one of the coolest player exclusives for one of the most exciting players has returned. This shoe, originally released back in 1997, was a player exclusive for Penny Hardaway, obviously the face of the Foamposite line. Penny Hardaway, one of the most exciting players back in the 90s, he teamed up with a very young Shaq on the Orlando Magic in the early 90s. They were kind of like the OKC Thunder when they had KD, when they had James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They were like that version before the Thunder ever came around. They were the cool, young, exciting, super athletic team. Unfortunately, Shaq got traded to the Lakers after a few years. Penny Hardaway's career pretty much was derailed by knee injuries after he left the Magic in the late 90s, but he cemented his place in sneaker history very early on. Before he ever got his official signature shoe, the Air Penny 1s, he was the face of the Foamposites. Legend has it he was meeting with a Nike executive, they were talking about his official signature shoe, he saw the Foamposites from like the Nike executive's bag, and he asked about it, and he said he wanted to be the face of it. Don't know if that story is 100% true, but it sounds cool. And this shoe dropped on April 7th for $240, and the colorway is specifically an Orlando Magic home colorway. So I don't know about now, I think the NBA changed the rules, but for the longest time, if you were playing at home, your uniform had to be white. So for this shoe, you obviously see the white upper sole. And I remember how cool the Orlando Magic uniforms were, all the way from the 90s to like the 2000s. They had the pinstripe Orlando Magic jerseys, they also had the one with the stars. I remember T-Mac rocking that a few years. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Bring it back, please NBA, please Orlando Magic. They were so sick. And in 2014, Nike actually brought back a very similar Foamposite as part of All-Star Weekend. But instead of the black eye stays, it was blue with stars on it. I think that shoe was pretty cool. But this one, I think this one is better. And this shoe is still sitting at a lot of shops. And I get it, $240 is a lot of money. It is a very expensive shoe, but this colorway, it looks so sick. I've never been like a huge ride or die Foamposite guy. I generally like Foamposites, but it's not one of my top 3 silhouettes. But this colorway itself, and the history and the story behind the shoe, had to grab them. And the upper sole of the shoe consists of a completely white base layer with black leather eye stays, and this black leather comes in that tumbled leather texture, super nice. And I know a lot of OG Foamposites has nubuck on the eye stays. A lot of people make a big deal when they change it to leather. Personally, I prefer leather eye stays. I just think it looks better. And you'll see the 2 pull tabs with very light blue accents representing the blue and the Orlando Magic. Now I have to mention this every time I review a Foamposite. I don't know why they need 2 pull tabs. I think 1 is plenty. I probably would prefer the one on the tongue, but comes with the territory. I don't know why they need 2. And another pet peeve of mine is the mini swoosh on the Foamposite. I know it's been there forever, it's always been a staple of the Foamposite, but I generally just don't like when they add mini swooshes to shoes, not just for the Foamposite, but for like Air Max 1s or like Air Force 1s. I feel like this is such a unique shoe. Nike should just let it stand on its own without having to add the swoosh. And with the Foamposite, I think it's recognizable enough, it's distinct enough, you don't need to add that swoosh. And on the booty of the shoe, Penny's athlete logo, one of the best in the history of Nike athlete logos, also comes with that Orlando Magic color. And on the tongue, you see a badge that also has Penny's logo. Very cool placement, very cool touch. And of course, the most defining feature of the Foamposite is the material of the upper sole. And the way they make that is, and also the reason why it's so expensive, is they heat up polyurethane to 130 to 175 Fahrenheit, and then they pour it in this very, very expensive mold. And when it cools, it creates this shape. And the shape was originally inspired by a beetle, which is why you see that pattern that's meant to resemble a beetle's shell. And side note, I think I've seen more Foamposites lately than beetles. I can't remember the last time I saw a beetle. And this Foamposite material, if you haven't felt it before, it feels like a combination of plastic and rubber. So it's pretty stiff and it's pretty hard to the touch, but there's also some give to it. When you press down, you can feel the material going down, so it's not completely solid. And the Foamposite material is very durable. It lasts for a long time, it is very solid, it offers a lot of support, and at the time when it came out, it really caused a big stir in the sneaker industry. It was so innovative. Nobody's ever seen that material before. Of course, no one's ever seen that shape. And I think, to this day, it's still very, very unique. No other shoe looks like this. And on the outsole of the shoe, you see that herringbone traction with that translucent kind of outer around the herringbone, as well as a penny logo. And my favorite thing to put in a shoe carbon fiber shank plate. And now if you didn't know, carbon fiber is a super light material, but it's also very dense, so it offers a lot of support. It's very, very durable. If you're into cars at all, a lot of sports cars offer like a carbon fiber upgrade, which costs a lot more money, but it decreases the weight of the car, so it makes the car a lot more lightweight, but offering the same amount of rigidity and support. Now, if you're wondering the traction of the Foamposite, if you want to play ball in the Foamposite, it's not the best. There are shoes with much better traction, and the main culprit is this translucent material on the outside of the herringbone. The material just makes it feel like there's room for more sliding when you're like an indoor gym. So I love the herringbone, but overall, if I wanted to play ball, especially in a dusty court, I probably wouldn't go with a Foamposite. And on top of that, there's pretty minimal ventilation on the shoe. You can see a bit on the toe box, as well as the mesh material on the tongue. But that's about it. And it's also not the lightest shoe. It is pretty chunky. The material of the Foamposite doesn't lend itself to be super lightweight. So for all those reasons, if I was to play ball, I probably wouldn't choose a Foamposite nowadays. This shoe does come with a full-length Zoom Air unit, so the cushioning is very nice. This shoe, even though it's $240, doesn't come with extra laces. How dare Nike spend 1 more cent on extra laces? Would have loved to see this shoe come with white extra laces. I don't actually know if it would look better than the black laces, but in my mind, I think it'll look pretty sick. And the box of the shoe, super standard black Nike box, doesn't even have a penny logo on it. Now moving on to sizing and comfort, I'm usually a size 9.5 true to size. However, I do have wide feet, and I'm sticking with 9.5 with Foamposites. And the main reason why is because it does take a long time to break in. So initially as a wide footer, it does feel very tight, very snug. The shoe feels very stiff, but I promise when you wear it enough, it does become more comfortable. The material starts to give a little bit. So if you have wide feet, it really does come down to personal preference. If you like a shoe that is comfortable from day one, there's no break-in period, definitely try go up half a size. But if you usually prefer a more snug fit, and you'd want the length of the shoe to be right around where your toes end, I recommend just going straight true to size, but give it time to break in. And there's pretty sufficient padding on the shoe. Around the ankle collar, it's not as well padded as some other shoes where it's like very soft when you can press in. When you press down on the ankle collar, you pretty much feel like the stiffness of the Foamposite material. But inside the shoe, again, once you break it in, it does feel good. And not to mention, when you wear the shoe, it just feels like your feet are so well protected. The material in the shoe is so durable, there's just so much support. It does give you like a false sense of extra security around your feet. And that brings the total sole score to 19 out of 25, one of the highest shoes that I've ever reviewed, and the highest rated Foamposites that I've reviewed. I think the colorway of the shoe is perfect. The white and black with hints of blue looks so dope. I think it's my favorite colorway of the pennies that have dropped in 2023. You can't really go wrong with a white and black shoe. In terms of the materials, of course the Foamposite material, that's a strong selling point, the durability, the support it offers, but I also love how they made the eye stays leather. Comfort is where it gets a bit tricky to give it a score. Like I said before, it does require a longer break-in period compared to other shoes, but when you do break it in, it does feel very comfortable. So I had to give it 3 out of 5, right down the middle. Really depends how long you want to wait, really depends how much patience you have to break it in. In terms of versatility, because of the colorway, I think it really makes this shoe one of the more versatile Foamposites. I don't think the silhouette itself is that versatile. It's pretty chunky, it's pretty bulky, it is kind of hard to wear with certain outfits, but I think the colorway just makes it easier to wear in general. And in terms of storytelling, even though there is a cool story behind it, it was a player exclusive for Penny Hardaway from way back in '97, Nike really doesn't seem to have put much thought into the storytelling. The box, pretty normal box, no real tie to Penny Hardaway within the box, so it's pretty much just like another general release. But I will give Nike credit, at least on their website, the description mentions the Penny Hardaway player exclusive reference. It does tell that story, so I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5 instead of a 1 out of 5. There's a lot of times the description on Nike.com, even though everyone knows there's some really cool story behind a shoe, they just don't really mention it or they gloss over it. But at least for this shoe, they make some reference to one of the first player exclusives. With so many Foamposites this year, it's honestly kind of hard to keep track of, but this Penny PE definitely is my favorite Foamposite to date. I'm also really looking forward to that metallic red Foamposite, and I imagine Nike's gonna squeeze in a few more before year's end. I really think Nike just needs to bring back the OG of OGs, the blue Foamposites, the Orlando Magic colorway that has the blue upper sole. That has a chance to break the internet. But until then, I think I'm satisfied with this one. So that's it. Thanks for watching Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Nike Air Foamposite 1 Penny Player Exclusive. Like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And remember, Tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.